Well, hello everybody. How are you doing today? It's your boy Jedi Granville. Welcome back to Jedi Granville Productions. And if anyone knows me too well, they know me by my government name, Walter Ross. But I don't use that on this channel because
I thought your government name was Sexual Chocolate.
Well, it could be Sexual Chocolate, or it could be if someone calls me at work, Walt Baby Love. But that's
I like Walt Baby Love.
Yes, that's beside the point. And before we get started on this, we got a few people on the chat. In the comments here. Mr. Anubis here, if I can get it. Let me see. Where is it? Yeah, there it goes.
Yes.
And we got good old Olvin in here. And what's up there, Jakey? How you feeling? And you say what? Okay.
I already got my wine, Jake. That's why.
Yeah, you're good though, Jake. All right. Well, this is my particular episode of Takusatsu Corner. This is where we talk anything and everything that deals with pretty much Japanese special effects or anything, here in America or South Side, whatever, whatever you want to talk about, anything that's kaiju related, cool. That's what we talk about. But and what's going on? Hold up, say what you say. She didn't necessarily take it.
He offered it.
Yes, he offered it. He's like, you're my queen, I'm the king, I'm giving you this platform so you can show yourself here, to the world, to everyone, to let them know that this is who Neko is.
This is where I'm meant to be. I'm supposed to have all the toys and all of the pictures behind me. I have some behind me on my desk, but we just had a weird thing with the mics and because we have like a digital mixing board on DJ Anubis's computer, which we use so that our mics don't give feedback. It was giving us a problem on my computer, so we said, just screw it. We're going to use, so I'm in the big boy chair tonight.
Which is weird because I would think that even with separate mics, you think you wouldn't get that feedback and you wouldn't have that issue, But
normally, like when we're both on together, that's why we use, I think it's called like Banana Meter or something but it's a digital mixer and it works really well because we're so close in proximity that, it keeps the mics separated. And when you look, normally, because I have a separate feed for the stream and he does too, but if you look at my stream, you have to mute the stream so that the mic can come through. And I think that's why when we were using my computer, because we didn't have both computers running, it was muted, but you can't unmute it without the other computer being on to use the microphone. We made it way complicated, but it does work so we don't have feedback off of each other.
The way I look at it is, as I said before, you are a dynamic duo and you are one. So naturally you have to, like the what you call those awesome twins that used to be on the Saturday morning.
Yes, and they go
like that. Wonder Twins, powers activate. That's how you got to be. So that's what you are. So you're good. It's just letting me know that you can't almost do one without the other. But it's technical stuff. But it's all. Yeah,
it's fun though. I enjoy stuff like that we all are really starting, like you and all of our friends, we're really starting to learn more about like streaming and cameras and microphones. So it's always fun when you kind of learn a new little tidbit that kind of helps you out.
Well, I know I do. I'm still learning certain things, but eventually I'll be the master of all that survey. But I'm not. But no, this is going to be a fun little outing, and hopefully you will enjoy it. But no, basically, like I say, we're talking about everything that's Takusatsu related, and usually we talk about maybe one particular subject. But this particular moment, and I'm explaining to everyone on who's watching. This is particularly special for me because, believe it or not, this is the first time I'm having a female guest on my channel. Neko, DJ Neko, has graced us with our presence, and I am very honored to have you here.
I'm happy to be here. Yes. Thank you.
So, like I say, it's weird knowing that since I've been live streaming, I haven't had no females on there, but that's only because everyone's busy, which is okay. Life goes on. We can't stop the flow of time. So, but while
Life is crazy.
yeah, well, yeah. But while we're here, the discussion today is basically this. Now, as anything, you can talk about any kind of subject what you want, but me particularly, I always had this in my mind when I was a kid, and that is this. When I started out, back in the 70s, back in the and I'm pretty sure DJ O'Nevis will realize this, back in the Stone Age, we just dealt with things where we didn't have internet, we didn't have all these other things. We pretty much were primitives if you think about it. So me as a person, growing up, I didn't have a particular styles of some other people where they had both the mom and the dad growing up. I particularly didn't have a father growing up. That's another subject for another time. But the thing about it is, it didn't stop me or cause me to go into the rant of some of these kids nowadays where they vandalize or do these other things, just be hell on wheels kind of individual. I particularly was someone, thankfully, who had a strong mother, kept myself in line, and pretty much kept me, say keep your eyes on a straight and narrow. So for some reason, I just had this weird, imaginative, something about me that just loved everything that was geek related, which I didn't know at the time was geek sounding. At the time, you just think, oh, this is cool stuff, but it's stuff that other kids may not get into. Well, me particularly, I enjoyed, stuff that was coming up, like I was mentioning, comic book stuff. I was dealing with that. I was looking. I love science fiction. I love anything creature related, anything like that. Well, it would be until the year of 75, and it's kind of interesting because that was the same year my grandmother had passed away. I would come to learn about a particular scaly individual that changed my life forever. And this would be this gentleman here.
There he is.
Gojira himself, Godzilla. And trust me when I say it's kind of interesting that, he changed my life forever. And when I was introduced to him, it was introduced by my brother, my second oldest brother. And I can't really contemplate how it was, but let's just say this. Kaiju loving him, just loving him who he is, and everything, it just changed me forever. So after time progressed, around, especially where I live at, you just love the stuff that come across the television, whether it be in magazines or music, wherever. I love kaiju. Now the point I'm getting to is this. I love everything that little boys usually love, that's a given. But here's the thing, here's the rub about that. As much as I love it because I'm a typical male, I love these kind of things. I started to wonder, what do girls get into these kind of things? Do girls like Star Wars? Do they like Star Trek? Do they like comic book heroes? Do they like anything that so-called boys like? And around here where I live at, I don't really have too many or know anybody, girls that actually love this stuff, and I realize where I'm at is kind of a rural area. So, maybe that's the reason why. So from that point of view, I started kind of wondering, it's like, well, do girls get into Godzilla at all? Are they fans of this stuff? Do they even like this stuff? And this was a question that lingered in my mind for up until oh my God, maybe, well, damn near forever, because again, this is something that trailed with me through my life up until my 40s. And interesting enough, this is another time in my life where something tragic happened, but eventually I would move on, but that question would still stay with me. So eventually I would get the answered. The question answered by me, not by me, but someone else who would answer that question for me. Do women love monster films or just love this kind of geek stuff at all? And that would be this person here who answered that question for me. And thankfully, when I met her, all my doubts went away. this Christine Chapin. And let me just say, she is probably one of the biggest, I'm talking about one of the big, not both male and female. She's one of the biggest kaiju lovers that I know. All right. And trust me, that face I'm making when we was at G-Fest, when I met her for the first time, yes, I'm that animated. So you can see how stupid I look.
He is.
But no, the thing about that is she erased all my doubts and let me know right away that anyone can love kaijus. Anyone can love them. You don't have to be, black or white. You don't have to be straight or gay. You just have to love this stuff and just know that it's ingrained in you. And knowing that, me personally, I started liking this particular, character when I was like 5 years old. Things changed for me. But knowing that women love this stuff just as much as the guys, it's like, okay, I ain't got to worry about it no more, And this is what led me to this, because a friend of mine, because when we be at G-Fest, she also kind of big C discussions, but because she's a woman, Jessica Sung, she does these panels at G-Fest where it actually, talks to different female, attendees about how your lifestyle of loving Godzilla kind of changed you or kind of integrate into your life. Now, granted, I could just easily say, well, you ain't got to necessarily do this, this kind of platform, because originally I thought of the plan, but then it's like, you know what, let me not even bother with it, because it's someone's already doing it and they're probably doing it better than me.
No.
But I did think that. See, I think because I was like, it's like, no, because this is a female, thing, and I don't want to bring that up. I feel like I'm a guy. Why am I asking that? Why am I even?
Yeah, but you're looking for the female perspective, so you understand the female perspective.
Well, that's exactly why, the whole reason why I wanted to do this, because I wanted to get their perspective. I want to get a female perspective, or someone who is female that actually identifies in terms of what they like about this. And when I say female, I should say, even if you're transgender, that's fine. We're not going to exclude that. We're asking people who are liking Godzilla. And if you have that perspective, let me know. So that's why I was trying to get, certain people on this panel to do this. But again, like you say, life intervenes. You can't do anything about that. So it's okay. So I'm just grateful that I have one person. And like I say, what's funny, you were the first one that I actually asked to do this, a while back. So
yeah, I remember when you asked, you're like, oh, it's going to be in a couple of months. And I'm like, okay, I'll put it on my calendar. And I remember I looked at my calendar and it says show with Walter. And I'm like, oh, that's coming up, isn't it?
Yeah. So.
But I'm like you. Like I have been like nerdy since birth. This is probably a main reason. My mom moved back in with my grandparents when I was a baby because my biological father was a mess. He was an alcoholic, a drug addict, in and out of rehab, never once was involved in my life. That's my biological father. The man that passed away recently, that was my stepdad, but I never said he was my dad. He raised me. My mom met him when I was like 5, and from 5 until 45, he's been with me. And but when we moved back home with my grandparents, my mom's youngest brother, like my mom's the oldest, and my mom's youngest brother, he was still at home. He was in high school, and he was only like 13.
Yeah.
So it was like having a big brother, not really an uncle, but it was her baby brother, but more like my big brother, because my mom's the oldest. He's 13. She was like, I think 11 years older than him. So He loved Star Wars. I have a picture of me in a Return of the Jedi shirt. Like it's really cute. I was only 3, but I know I saw Return of the Jedi. I know I saw the Ewok movie. I saw all kinds of like horror movies when I was way too young because my grandmother was obsessed with horror. I kind of came out geeky. Like we always went, when I'm talking like me with my mom and my uncles, we went to Star Wars, Star Trek conventions, sci-fi conventions, and I never really had like a negative connotation about that because I enjoyed hanging out with my family. And a lot of my friends too got into like superheroes and Star Wars. And I remember, this is us as adults when the new Star Wars movies came out, and I'm like young adults, we're like 19 to 23 with our like fake the guys with fake lightsabers. They have their cars. We're at like a bonfire. They have their cars. They turn on the lights. They blare that song from the duel with
oh yes, the Phantom Menace. Yes, I love that.
And they're like doing, that's what I grew up with, and these were my friends, so we never felt like we were outsiders or like being made fun of because it was 50 of us. We were like all into this stuff. And, you know, when I started thinking about Godzilla, I grew up, you know, Godzilla was ubiquitous. Everybody knew who Godzilla was because I was born in 1980 and he had been around for a while. But my first like remembrance or like acknowledgement of Godzilla was in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. That came out, I think, when I was like 7 or 8, and I was obsessed with Pee-wee Herman and Pee-wee's Playhouse. And there's that scene at the end where they're filming a Godzilla movie, and Godzilla, and then there's like a Ghidorah like up on, and they're like fooling him. And then Godzilla's walking and stepping all over the tanks and stuff. And that is when I first, like, my first memory of a movie of Godzilla. And for me, like, as you know, Jedi Granville was saying, we're a little bit older than these youngsters now who have everything on demand. The TV channels you had were the TV channels you had. And so some people, like I lived in Baltimore, so we were lucky. We had what was called TV Hill, where you had like the giant satellite. So even if you got regular TV and not cable TV, you still got like 24 channels because I was in town. But if you are further out, like I know some people who lived like further out in like Carroll County or some of the more rural areas, you didn't get anything unless you got your own satellite. And that was my aunt and uncle. They were way out in Carroll County, so they had to get their own satellite. Like, so I would, and this is how I got into Kung Fu as well. Again, time to go to bed, and I'm kind of an insomniac. And I to this day, I have to fall asleep with the TV on. And for the longest time, DJ Anubis fought against me. He hated it being on, but he leaves it on all night now still for me. But most TV channels, if you remember, after midnight, either they went away or it was infomercials, Kung Fu, or Godzilla movies. Yep. And that is what my entire like childhood through, you know, teenage years was watching Kung Fu, watching Godzilla, whatever like the midnight movie was on Channel 54. That's what I watched. And that is how I really started, you know, I'm sure I've seen so many of these movies over and over again, but I just never realized. And then when I met DJ Anubis in 2002, I didn't, you know, we were just kind of chit-chatting about stuff that we liked, and we found out we both like heavy metal music, and we both like Kung Fu, and we both like Godzilla. I'm like, I love giant monster movies, and he's like, that just seems odd for a girl to like these things. And I'm like, for me, it's almost like comfort. I went to bed to these old giant monster movies. I went to bed with these old Kung Fu movies, and I just, you know, before my sister moved in with us permanently, I didn't like to go to bed. I did not like to sleep by myself. I don't know why. Who knows? It took me forever to fall asleep. And I've gotten better as I've gotten older, probably because I get up much earlier than I used to. And, but always. I'd watch at least one movie and then drift off to sleep. And that is 100% how I got into it. But like I said, I had a totally geeky background from birth. My older uncle, who was 13 at the time, he was like having a big brother. So I was always bothering him and doing things that he liked. He had an Atari, so I would watch him play Atari games. We would just hang out. And I remember he had this big orange beanbag. And I was little, so I would just like fluff down in it, and we'd either be watching TV or I'd try to play with his Star Wars stuff, and he's like, don't touch that, don't touch that. So I that is how I got into. I just, I enjoyed it because my family enjoyed it and I didn't push back against it. I never thought it was geeky, and my friends liked it too, and we all just kind of came together and we always enjoyed it. I remember one of my oldest friends, he and I met, I think we were in like 5th grade when we met. And those collector cards were really big for X-Men and Marvel. And we would walk up to the comic book store and we would get the packs, and then we would give each other our duplicates. And I bet you he still has all that crap because he is such a hoarder. I have no idea where mine went. Who knows? Probably the trash. We've moved so many times since 1992, so probably gone. I mean, beyond gone. But I bet you he still has all of that. Those good old days where you just walk up to the comic book store.
Exactly. And the weird thing, and here's the question I have to ask you. Now you bring that up. Do you think because where you were located at, do you think because you had more interaction with people who love these geeky things, or just things that you enjoyed yourself growing up at that time?
I think it's possible because I grew up in an area, like I lived right outside of Baltimore City, and we did up until last December. Like we lived there for a very long time, and it's very populated. It's so populated in my like part of where I live that there was like 3 different high schools. And like to contrast, what the town I live in now has 7,000 people. I probably had 7,000 people on my block. Like, wow. Where I was before. It's very different. So when you are living someplace where I am now, where it's very rural, it's lots of chicken farms, it's beautiful, very close to the beach. It's what we were looking for, something just like relaxing. But I can understand, like you said, you're living somewhere where it's kind of rural and there's not a lot of people around. So I just had more people. I had a big high school, and my high school was also a high school for visual arts and performing arts. So I was a dancer in high school, and I also did photography. And we had a photo studio, and we had an area, a lab to develop like old school film. Like we developed our film, we used an enlarger. So I feel like being in a school that catered to artistic people, we had multiple bands. We had like an orchestra, a jazz band, lots of different types of choruses. You have people like that, you're generally going to have people. And we had this thing called the Black Box Theater. This is kind of where I'm going. Everybody is very artistic, but in different ways. So you're going to find people who are into something at least similar. I found that just growing up and going to this school that they called them magnet schools, at least in Maryland, that's what they call them, where you audition to get in and you send your portfolio. And it's also a regular high school. Like you have to go to math class, and they offered some advanced placement classes and stuff. So it's like an actual high school, but you had an extra core curriculum if you were studying like music, chorus, art, dance. And so everybody there had that, like, some people, like I was too a little bit when I was in high school, really into Japanese animation. Like I liked Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z, stuff like that. And I think because it's seemed so normal, because there's so many people who have like quirks, like everybody's into something. But then you also have like your stereotypical jocks and whatever in school. But it was so much easier when there was people who were like, I like this too, but it's not just you and me, it's 50 of us, because it was a really, really like artsy school.
And see, this is the thing I've realized, and this I'll kind of get to this, the fact that when you love something and something that you just endure with, and you just love it so much, it's like you hope that someone else would be attracted to it. But for me, I didn't have that advantage, because, like I say, it was pretty much me and the world. And I didn't meet somebody until later on, until I got into my 20s, who the same kind of who loved the same kind of stuff. And this guy was like, "Oh, you like this stuff? You love this stuff?" It's like, where have you been all this damn time, dude? I mean, I could have been hanging out with you. We could have been like loving this guy, but that's how life intervenes like that. So it's like, hey, you take what you can and go from there. But knowing that is how things work, I guess that's why I asked that question about, do girls like this kind of stuff? Because let's be honest. I mean, let me be honest with you. I particularly, I can say, didn't have a strong father figure growing up. I mean, my brother tried to do his best, but brothers can only do so much. You need that strong authority to actually say, it's like, you are my father. My mother was a different story. My mom was like old school. She's like, I don't give a damn who you are. I mean, I'll treat your ass like a man for a half a second and let you know, like, I can be a man if you get out of line, So that put me in. But that's, I'll get you. But I'm grateful for her, because it let me know what was important and what was not. And thankfully, as time progressed, I realized, like, okay, through aging, hopefully maturity, you will find people who love this stuff. And knowing that you love this stuff, that's what's important, and that's why I say this what brings me to this particular question. As I mean, this is strange how I'm going to ask this, but as a typical female, does it give you joy knowing that there are other females who enjoy stuff that you enjoy, or does it even matter?
No, I love it. So what I was going to say is, like, it's opposite kind of in my family. Like, I said we moved back home when I was a baby, newborn, like, tiny baby, to be with my grandparents, and my grandfather and my grandmother were there. My uncle was there, again, he's 13. And my grandfather had absolute zero interest in any of this. Now, you got to remember, this is old school. He was in the Korean War. He was a Marine. Like, his idea of fun is like, barbecuing on the grill and tinkering around the house. And that man, I swear, he had so much. He would not throw anything away. He had like junk door handles. He just saved it because, God forbid, we might need that door handle. But that was what he did. Cleaning the pool. We had a pool. That was like his weekend extravaganza. My grandmother is the one who was into fantasy and horror and stuff like that. My mother kind of vicariously through my grandmother, and then like my uncle, who was her baby brother, and then my other uncle, he was married and out of the house at the time. They all were like the ones who were really into just the fantasy stuff and the Star Wars. And so fast forward, like, my mom remarries when I'm 7, and she'd been with my dad, for a while, but he had no interest in any of that either. He did not care about Godzilla or Star Wars or Star Trek. He never went to see the movies with us. He did not go to a convention. He was like very into sports and very into watching football and things like that. So the men in my family, like the older, like father figure authority men, they were like, no thanks. And even just down to like simple things like, oh, we're going to play like a sci-fi trivia game. Come on, it'll be fun. They're like, yeah, no. We're not even going to participate. We'll watch you guys. And that is kind of funny, like thinking about that. I hope women try to get into like fantasy, like, and there's lots of different like fantasy genres, but I would hope, because you have to think about how funny some of the old Godzilla movies are, and then how like if you progress into seeing from like the 2015 when they've really started like nailing what you think like really Godzilla could look like and how cool. That's what I love. I told when the first Godzilla legendary movie came out, and it's still like not just like favorite Godzilla movie, it's like one of my favorite movies, period, because they made it so like if Godzilla, like this is what would happen. Even if Godzilla's not attacking, and just at the beginning, he wasn't attacking Hawaii. He was just like getting out of the water. But he's so massive and he's radioactive and he's just trying to get out of the water that it causes a tidal wave. And I'm like, they just thought about that. I'm like, this is what progress is from, you know, the guy in the suit stepping on some fake tanks. Now you have like this visual of like exactly how massive this monster could possibly be. And that blew my mind. And, you know, if women out there are thinking like they just, I don't want to say, I'm too old to say something like if they don't think it's cool to watch Godzilla, it just may not be their interest, but watch like 2015 and -1, I think are the movies that will really give you a movie. Yes. All the other movies are good too, but like those are a movie where I feel like even if you don't particularly like or know about Godzilla, those movies really just, they feel like a realistic depiction of what happens when Godzilla just exists.
Right. It solidifies knowing that it can be real if that was the notion in that universe. Like, yes, it's going to do damage. And that's what the original Godzilla was. He was a force of nature, and it shows the after effects of what he can do had he been let loose, you know, because of well, let's be honest, because of man's doing, you know, playing God, you know, trying to spit the atom and think like, this is not going to harm too much people. Yes, it will, you know. And as you said,
I don't want to get real geeky about like the whole atomic bomb and stuff, but
you can do that. I mean,
I'll be a little bit geeky because it's kind of interesting with the Marshall Islands. So I like. If you ever watched the TV, the Godzilla TV show, what was it? Yeah, the Monarch show. So, and they alluded to it in like the first movie in some of the beginning parts where they're testing the atomic bomb, and then you see like they're really shooting it at Godzilla.
Right.
That happened in the Marshall Islands, and so. One thing that a lot of people don't realize, like the Marshall Islands is a very, like, we took over and we were like doing the whole like atomic bomb thing, and we just like destroyed these people's lives because it's radioactive there. And then they tried to move everybody because these islands are really small. So we tried to move everybody to like this one island and stuff. So what makes me kind of think like, you know, what if maybe really they were going after Godzilla? And because a lot of these like Pacific Island areas are kind of, they're definitely not primitive now, but like back in like the 40s and all, when they're doing these things, they were very different worlds versus like where the United States was. Like they were like farmers and they lived off the land and they ate the fruits of the trees, which is all destroyed now because of all the atomic testing. And the United States, they're real sorry, so we'll just like truck in some spam and that's what you get to eat for the rest of your life. And the entire Marshall Islands like has diabetes. It's insane if you ever want to look it up. But there are some there's some stories in the Marshall Islands about giant fish, giant things in the ocean, and they're very, they were fishermen before all of this, before the atomic testing. They were fishermen. They would have boats and go in between like the it's, and I'm going to say this wrong, archipelago, I think I'm going to say, but it's like a collection of small islands.
Yeah.
They were very dependent on the water, and they can't be anymore, right? They can't, because the water is contaminated. And then now there's a U.S. Military base there in the Marshall Islands, and that's contaminating the water. So they can't fish anymore. And all these stories that kind of like came up in the Marshall Islands, they would talk about, almost like their story of Moby Dick. While like, oh, I'm taking my boat to the next island, but then I see this massive thing.
Right.
So maybe they were testing on Godzilla, and it was just an excuse to say, oh yeah, we're totally just testing out in the middle of the ocean, but there really was a Godzilla, and maybe they got Godzilla. I don't know. That's silly.
But look. Like you, like me, and I'm pretty sure like anyone else, your imagination can just decipher and think like, that could be the reason why. And if it's for real, it's like, that's the reason why it happened that way.
And that could be where the stories start coming from.
Yes.
Because it kind of like progressed after that, right?
Right. Because you say, mutated fish, or who knows, mutated crabs or something like that. It's like, they're bigger than what they were before. It's like, no, that's not too far off, and that's when you kind of think to yourself, what do you decipher the fact from the fiction after that, And it's kind of weird, but that's the thing, though. Knowing that this is the thing Godzilla has done in terms of that, it has made you think about he's almost an allegory, of the sign of why we should not mess with things that we shouldn't be messing with. And that's unfortunate that we're too stupid to realize that.
We always do. It's humanity. But yeah, I really love thinking. I'm not saying I'm a conspiracy theorist. I don't believe all conspiracy theories. I enjoy them. I love listening to people trying to convince other people like this really happened. So when you hear like a lot of the history of the Marshall Islands, and then you hear about the atomic testing, and you hear about the contamination, and then you hear about the stories of larger than life things, you're like, this is not so far off that, it could be like either somebody's idea of like what Godzilla was, or maybe there was something that that mutated, because what do you think radiation will do? It will mutate actual living things.
Exactly. It changed its cells, changed its order of what it was, and it's like, whether it kills them slowly or just kills them, well, not so much kill them, but act on their own will of being something totally different. It's like, this is the thing we have to realize. It's a cautionary tale, and I think like you said, the 2014 film, it's definitely a cautionary tale film, just like -1 is. It's there. It's sad that this is, and I think that's the thing. It's, I think as, I don't want to say nerd geeks, but that's exactly what we are, because we are knowledgeable of these kind of things. We take this and realize like and then you mentioned something about conspiracy theory. I can say I wasn't much of a conspiracy theorist, but I kind of make up my own theories about something, but I know it's just like far-fetched, but it almost feels so much like that's what it is, because you listen to it, it's like, yeah, that's kind of funny. That could be like that. So knowing that you mentioned about the islands, and knowing that,
and that's where the atomic bomb testing was, and like to this day, and this is 100 years later, like you got to think, like we're almost 100 years later away from the testing, everything is still like again, some of the islands you cannot live on them. They've like the US is like you cannot live there. And then they squished a bunch of people onto the islands that they say were inhabitable. And then because of like the downfall of like the radioactive, it still contaminated most of the islands. Now, granted, it was out of the blast zone when they moved everybody, but they aren't growing anything because there's nowhere to grow anything because everybody's cramped. They get like 2 barges a month, and the United States like has, as a sorry for the Marshall Islands, is like, even though you're a Marshallese, you're technically an American citizen. They're like, I'm sorry, like, we're sorry, my bad. So the United States is like kind of taking on the Marshall Islands, and because they fucked it up. But you can't have like, so basically they're living off of preservative food like Spam and Dinty Moore beef stew, and there's also like only so much you can keep for so long, so they don't get a lot of fresh produce because they're so far away from anything, so that even if you would barge it over, like, you're not going to get, so they live off of like rice and noodles and whatever they can. So the whole area is like, the average living age now is 52 because their food source is just like canned goods, and everybody's got diabetes. And then of course they don't have like real hospitals. So it's, again, because it's small, there's only so many people and so many things. It's really interesting. And and people still try to fish, and they still try to eat the fish from there too, because that's what hundreds and hundreds of years of what they did. So maybe part of their problem too is they're eating like the contaminated fish from the sea as well. But it just blows my mind. I'm like, that is, so for me, when I start thinking about Godzilla, I'm like, that is where Godzilla was birthed, was the Marshall Islands. And then like, because we tried to kill Godzilla and we contaminated that whole area, that's probably where Godzilla lives still, is in the Marshall Islands. And he is living with, because the whole area is still radioactive and certain parts are still radioactive. So he probably still lives down there, or maybe they're still radioactive because he's there.
And this is all thanks to the human species just trying to say, do away with something that's like, okay, can you just let this thing live in peace? It's like, now we gotta be the bigger person on the totem pole.
We gotta split the atom. We gotta get that atomic bomb working.
Wow, that's crazy though. I mean, it's crazy. Well, not so much crazy, but it's kind of makes sense because, again, Godzilla. You know, growing up, you know, you watch him, you know, you love what he does, you know, especially the older films, you know, even though. But the thing about that is, the simple fact is that he opens your eyes to the reality around you, as much as some people would not want to do that. I mean, it's like, I don't want to get into this, like, you know, what he's really about. What is it? It's like, look with your blind eye, my friend. Look with your third eye. Look with the fact that, what is this thing? Is this thing really what you call a so-called conqueror, destroyer of worlds type of thing? Or is it just something that's just trying to live and somebody else is trying to be the bad boy on the block?
It's like he's just existing. And then when you start entering in other entities too, especially when you start getting into Monster Zero, King Ghidorah, you know, whatever, you start thinking like, all right, now we really have like, okay, we have all these titans, right? And they're these like old, been here since the dinosaur age. So they've been like underground or wherever. You start thinking like, maybe this is like, they're, because of how we're acting now, we're bringing them to life. Like we're drawing them out is really what you can kind of like. Again, these are movies. I'm not saying this is really happening in real life, people. These are movies, and I'm just putting like a comparison, and I'm saying if you watch the movies and you see some of the current movies and you see the current state of affairs in the world, maybe these titans are coming to the surface and, you know, bringing themselves out because of what is really happening around the world. Now, I don't know. I don't know if that's like what the older movies were trying to say either, because, you know, there have been wars and struggles forever. But I think like we're really starting to lean into that in these newer movies. And it's kind of like what the geeky stuff that I like. That first movie, again, not just a Godzilla, like the first Legendary movie, one of my favorite movies, like of when I'm talking like some, you know, it's up there with like The Departed, like as a favorite movie.
Right.
I feel that strongly. It was well directed. It was well acted. It was just everything about it was done. And then they had so many subtle little things put in for Godzilla fans. You know, like at the beginning during the nuclear reactor, and the kid is in his classroom, you see like these, you know, they look like paper cranes, but they really look like paper rodins, you know, hanging up. And then they would like, in the credits at the beginning and end, they had like different little things in there, flashes of newspaper. And I'm really like the Monarch TV show, they took just those little things and started expanding on them. I don't know. That's the kind of like stuff I like to see for modern Godzilla. I also love the big monster fights. So when we're watching like Kong versus Godzilla and it's a giant monster fight, that still makes me excited too. But I do love the behind the scenes subtle Godzilla stuff.
Okay. See, and it's funny you say that about the older stuff. You know, I mean, as much as the progressing years they got a little bit more sillier. They got a little bit more like childish. It's like, yes, but if you rewatch him again, you know, with the very last one from the Showa era, you realize like they still have some underlying message underneath there. You know, I mean, as much as we want to say it's like they're just guys in suits and they're just busting up, you know, styrofoam, you know, buildings, which they weren't styrofoam.
Which is great. Do it. Give me all the styrofoam buildings being blown up. It's great.
Yeah, but I mean, but besides that, there was something being said about them, and you mentioned about Gojira, and I mean Ghidra and other things. You realize that there was more to them than just what we see before us. And much as we want to say that they were there, you know, it's like, no, it's something, because that's one thing about those films that they, especially with the Asian cinema, is very good at, is having that underlying message embedded in there. It's almost that a Disney effect, you know. It's like we're showing you some great things here, but we're actually got some moral message that's behind that, as much as you don't want to talk about it, but it's there. But that's the rub, though. I mean, that's the thing about Godzilla, and that's the thing about what makes him likable, no matter who you are. And that's why I always say, you know, it's good to know that individuals like you and any people that I've met, you know, especially these individuals right here, like this is a person I met at G-Fest, Danielle Ryan. She's a big Godzilla fan, and this person here, Miss Jessica Elchies, she's just as a big fan of Godzilla. And this person here, you know her pretty well.
Yeah.
Good old Lady Fat Blood. She's definitely a Godzilla fan, you know. But I'm pretty sure, like you and me, they see things just as much as those kind of theories or thought process, because it makes you think. I mean, if you think about it, Godzilla, even though, okay, we got Star Wars, we got Star Trek, even those will make you think, but Godzilla is one of those particular genres or creatures or characters that opens up a whole other world that makes you say, like, could this, would this, maybe, you know, because it's there. And as much as we want to say that, that's not what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be entertaining, which it is. There's something more to it than just that, And I feel like with me, I know it's pretty easy to see, but for you, I'm assuming that it gives you this creativity to say, okay, this is what this might be thinking about, and this is what might be the kind of thing.
Yeah, and you kind of made a really good point when you're talking about some of the older movies. You always remember like when they first started bringing in like the little flying saucers and stuff. Yes. Yeah, and it's cute. And you're like, oh, look, a flying saucer. Oh, here come aliens. But like on the surface level, it's just adding something else that Godzilla can like whack out of the sky. But think about it. Like, at this point, we're talking about like a whole other, and oh god, what's the one that I love? Final Wars. I think it is Final Wars.
It probably the newer one. I mean, the 2014. I mean,
yeah, it's from the early 2000s. Yeah, I love that one too. And it's the aliens, and they come. They look like people, and then Anyway, but you look at stuff like that, and again, you're looking at the action, you're looking at the fun, you're looking at the fights, but it is a whole like control over humanity. Like, okay, maybe humanity has stepped out of line again, and now humanity has to fight back against the aliens because the aliens are like, no, we're taking over you, and then humanity's like, oh no, we stepped out of line.
And Jake just said this. Neko, you were a fan of the Gamera films, or just were you a fan? Basically, are you a fan of the Gamera films, both Showa or Heisei?
I am new to Gamera, believe it or not. I never watched Gamera ever until we went to G-Fest, and they had that channel on that was nothing but Godzilla and
anything like related.
Yeah, it was all like anything kaiju. Hey, there's us.
Yes, that's just me next to a credible pair there, see.
There we are. Mm-hmm. So we're watching in the morning. Like I got up, I took a shower, and that's all that's on TV. And I'm like, what the hell is this turtle flying?
Right.
Like what is this? And Scott's like, that's Gamera. I was like, I don't know anything about Gamera. What and then it's like it's meant for kids. You could tell because Gamera is like the kids are like, oh, Gamera's here. He's like a magical turtle who appears, and then shit happens, and he's just like I love Gamera. I think I said this the other day. I was like, every time I watch Gamera, it's just like he appears and he takes care of business and the kids get happy and everybody just goes home and the day is saved. Like it is really, really cute. And matter of fact, where is it? I actually put this together for DJ Anubis. I have to paint it still, but he wanted this Gamera. And it was a model kit, so I put it together for him. It was not easy at all. It had to be glued together, like every single, his teeth and his mouth and all of these spikes on the back had to be put together. And I still have yet to paint him. I'm sorry, baby. I will paint him soon. But yeah, like we love Gamera. I'm new to Gamera in the last 2 years.
Okay, and you know what? There's nothing wrong with that because, like I say, I didn't come into knowing Gamera until my late teens. I mean, I wasn't aware of him until I was like 17. So I mean, like, yeah, I mean, that's one thing I can say about Godzilla. He did open up the door for you, not just with Gamera, but like you mentioned, Ghidorah, Mothra,
I love Mothra.
You know, but see, that's the thing. That's the beauty of being a G fan is that not everything, and like I say, when I mentioned about the sisterhood, the Kaiju universe, you don't have to just stick with one particular monster. I mean, it's like you can love them all, you can love them all. And it's not like you have to be settled for just one. And this is a question I have to ask you this, because this is actually kind of relatable to what I'm about to ask you.
Okay.
Let's just say that Godzilla was not even in the picture, not even on the roster of existence, because I had a podcast earlier this year where we talked about 10 of our top 10 favorite kaijus if Godzilla was not on the list. But we're just going to stick with one. I don't think I want to go in through from 10 to 1. But say you were to pick your favorite kaiju minus Godzilla, because most likely Godzilla might be at the top of the list, maybe not. Who would be at the top of the list if Godzilla was not on that? If Godzilla was not in existence?
It's always for me Mothra. I love Mothra, and I love it's almost like Mothra is very spiritual. Like there's a whole, like, you have to sing to Mothra, and then she wakes up and she hatches, and then even though she dies, she comes back. She's always like reincarnating. There's something special, and she's cute, and she makes little, like, blurpy sounds. I love Mothra. I love Mothra. One of my biggest complaints about the one that came after the 2014 one, the one with all the monsters, where they had King of the Monsters. Thank you, King of the Monsters. God, I'm blanking. Yeah, my biggest complaint about King of the Monsters was I hated that in the trailer they showed too much. And there was they like showed like Mothra hatching and coming out of her cocoon and stuff. That really irritated me, because then I watched the movie and it's like, I've seen this already. Like, you made too many trailers, and I was just too excited because I wanted to see, and they did a beautiful job with the animation and everything, but I loved how they made Mothra look. I like the traditional Mothra look, but in the King of the Monsters, they made her look like she could kick ass. Like, she had a little stinger, and and she, like, if you think, and then when we get to, I'm trying to think, I think it was the most recent Kong movie.
Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So she was in, and I, like, again, I stopped watching trailers. Like, if it's something I want to, like, watch, I don't watch a lot of trailers, because after King of the Monsters, it ruined the movie for me. So we're going to see Godzilla X Kong. I know nothing about it. I don't even care. We're going to see it. All I know is King Kong and Godzilla are in it, and that's fine with me. It's going to be worth it. They fight, happy, wonderful. And when Mothra shows up, I think Anubis knew that Mothra was going to show up, and he kept it a secret from me. Mm-hmm. And when Mothra showed up, it was like I popped in the theater. I was like, I was so excited. I was like, yeah. Did you see Mothra? That's Mothra. And he's like, yeah. But, everything about Mothra is so spiritual. Like, you have to sing to her, Mothra.
Yes.
And, she's just very selfless. She gives. She knows she's going to die, but she knows she'll come back. And she does it over and over again, because she knows she's little. She's a moth. She knows that she's not going to beat people with brute strength, but she's going to be the one who is going to be a great ally. She'll be the one to sprinkle the sleepy dust all over you, and then somebody else can kick the shit out of you. Like, that's her style. But she knows when she sacrifices herself that it's going to be for the greater good. But
the question I had, and here's a question. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I just want to ask you this. It's kind of funny you bring this up, because I was just thinking, she has this like motherly effect, and this is the question that comes to my mind. Does it almost seem like, even though Mothra is short for, because she's a Mothra, does it almost surprise you that if you take away Mothra, almost looks like the naming of it's almost like mother?
Yeah,
that's kind of weird.
That's what it is. She's a protector. She is And you know, you have the little twins, and they're her keeper. I love Mothra. That's my number one, even over Godzilla. Like,
okay. Well, quick question. Jake has you have a question for you. Were you a fan of the GMK Mothra?
I don't know what GMK is.
That's Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, all monsters attack. All out monsters attack.
Yes.
Have you seen that? Okay, that's it's short. It's GMK is short for that. I mean, because it's so worded and everything. But did you like that Mothra version of her? Okay. Well, also I'll ask this question: did you ever see the Heisei version Mothras by chance?
I don't know. Probably. I don't know. Like, I am not that deep into where I know like the difference between like. I know like Legendary and Beyond and before Legendary is kind of like clumped together for me. That's kind of like what I know they're different because I know there's Toho and then I know there's like other people. So I'm really bad with that, but I just like the pre-Legendary is kind of I keep separate and then Legendary Beyond.
Okay, well, see that's and see, look, it's not so hot because I'm gonna tell you right now. When I first went to the first G Fest, I thought I was kind of out of place because it seemed like my knowledge, which I had more knowledge, but I feel like the people around me is like, oh, these people are way more, you know, in tune with the mythology of being a kaiju fan and everything. So I felt like I don't belong here, you know. I thought that, but as time progressed, they would see like. This dude knows his stuff, you know. This dude, because he loves coming here, you know. He loves being around it.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. You just feel comfortable around the fans, right?
Well, here's the question I have to ask. This is a question I have to ask. As a G Fest veteran, and because you've been to one, but that doesn't mean because you went to one, you're not a veteran. You are a veteran. Since you went to one. Did it kind of like just blossom to your mind? It's like, wow, I mean, I never imagined that this is the kind of place that, you know, they hang out. I know you say you mentioned you went to the other cons before, but did this particular con just like solidifies, just like, wow, I mean, I never imagined this would be like this.
It really did, because these so I used to go to again, this is back in the 90s. It used to be called Farscape, which was all the sci-fi, you know, Star Trek cons. And it was like a day, maybe 2 days. And now, you know how they've gotten like, you know, Comic-Con now is like a week. Everything is like extended. And that's what kind of like blew my mind. Like, we get there and it's several days of so many different things. It was overwhelming. Like, you're in there and there's vendors selling crap everywhere. And, you know, everybody's buying all these things. It was very overwhelming at first. Like, I was like, okay, there's a lot of people. And it was really cold in there. I had to buy a hoodie. I'm like, what is going on? They got the AC cranking in this hotel. It was a lot. I was overstimulated very much the first day. And then as we went along, we were like checking things out and going to panels, and I started looking at the different things, and I found it really interesting that there were some like artists there and the people who were really into the like model making. And that's the only model I've ever done. It's not like I'm an expert modeler or anything, but I went to a couple of those panels, and then they had like this you can paint a Godzilla. So like I went and did a model paint. Nobody else was with me. It was just me by myself, and then like other people at G Fest. Like, and especially I didn't realize how many kids would be there. But then I'm like, why would there not be kids there? Look at all the toys. Look at all the things that kids could do. And then, you know, I'm sitting there and painting my little model, and it's nothing but kids in this activity, and they were so fun. They're like, oh, I'm gonna paint my King Kong purple and red. I was like, that sounds like a really good color combination. I'm trying to be all like perfect. I'm like, let me mix my gray and my green and get the perfect Godzilla color, because I picked Godzilla. And I'm like painting him. No, they're just like, I think King Kong's gonna be purple and red today. And I'm like, good idea. I just found it so amazing. It was all ages, everyone from every race. Everyone's having a good time just because it's fun. You know, like maybe I was not in the mood to go sit through a panel for whatever Anubis was doing. I was like, I'm not really interested in that. I would rather listen to this guy who is now designing models for, he just designed the Biolante model. So I'm going to go watch him talk about designing the Biolante model that they now sell, and you can buy it and put it together and paint it yourself. And I'm like, they had so much there. Like, I was overwhelmed at first, but then we all started hanging out and eating and going to different things and buying stuff. And, you know, it was fun. It was
your interaction with different other people that you probably never met before. It was just like, wow, we have this same interest. It's like, yeah, that's a beautiful
it's totally
thing.
True. We have lots of the similar interests. That was one of the reasons that we got the suite. Like, I was still sailing at the time, so and we hadn't made up our mind if we were going to go to G Fest. And I remember I was sitting, like, I was working, and I was still working on the ships, and you know, there's not a lot. It's not really easy just to pick up the phone and call. So we were like, Scott and I were messaging each other through Facebook, because believe it or not, we had like satellite internet, but it's boat internet through these satellites in the middle of the ocean is very different than if you have satellite internet on land. It's very different. So it's very slow. You can't really stream things, but I can tell you Facebook Messenger works. I don't know how many, he's even called me through Facebook Messenger when there has been emergencies and stuff, but he and I are just chatting back and forth, and he's like, I really want to go to G Fest. I was like, so if you do, that's fine. Like, that'll be our vacation. We'll, you know, I'm fine with that. And one of the reasons I missed the block of rooms, and then we were going to stay at the Sheraton instead of staying at the Hyatt because it was cheaper. But then I was like, no, everything's at the Hyatt and it's just more convenient and blah, blah, blah. And I got the suite because he wanted to be able to have like a group of people hang out. Cause you know what it's like in a hotel room? It's like a bed in the middle of the room. What's everybody gonna do? Sit on the bed and stare at each other? Like, we had a couch and we had a table. Like, it was nice that we could all just sit and chill and eat and everything there. And, you know, it was a lot of fun. And I do believe we're going to try and get back there in July of next year. You know, I'm taking off of work anyway, so
might as well do something enjoyable. Yeah,
exactly. I'm going to take it off. He said he wants to go. I don't know if we're going to get the suite again, because that was a little pricey. But
I was going to say that took you out of pocket like really hard, right? Yeah.
It was a little bit more expensive, but you know, when I was making that boat money, I'm not making boat money anymore, so I have to scale back
and that's
get the standard room. But I think it'll be a lot of fun if we go, and everything for me is always subjective to, like, if something happens and I need to be with my mother, so. But she's doing great right now. Like, she's very independent again, which is wonderful, because, you know, she was, after my dad passed, she was in the hospital because she got the flu twice, like back to back. And, you know, when you're older and immunocompromised, because she also like has leukemia, and now she's having like, from the flu, she's having like lung problems and stuff. It took a really long time to get her to be like, she didn't have enough energy to drive. Now she's driving again, and she's hanging out, and she's like feeling like a person more than like what she was a couple of months ago. So she was always just so tired and so weak. So if we stay on the upswing, I don't have to worry about anything. She'll be like, oh yeah, fine, be gone for a couple of days.
It's like she rejuvenated some kind of way. I guess your love and whatever did that for her.
it just takes so long for like really good. It's age, it's the leukemia, being immunocompromised, you know, she just like lost a lot of strength, so she had some physical therapy, like everything just compounded. It happened so quickly, but then gaining it back takes, you know, like 4 months to kind of gain back, you know. And even when she was sick, she was not totally helpless. We were just kind of like support, like, yeah, we keep an eye on her, make sure she ate, make sure she like was fine. But like, you know, she would go from she didn't need any kind of like assistance to walk, maybe her cane for long distances, to I was like pushing her around in a wheelchair long distances because she just like she would lose her breath and she'd be so tired. So, but yeah, I think we're going. I think mom's gonna be fine. I think everybody's gonna be fine, and I think we're gonna go probably. And Anubis has already told me, just reserve the room, reserve one of the cancelable rooms just in case. And I'm like, all right. Are you going? Are you going in July?
No, I'm definitely going. I mean, this is look, I haven't been in 2 years, and even though we had a little, you know what happened, I'm not letting that stop me. I'm not gonna say I am going to live my life. I mean, in this stage in my life, yes, it's time to live. So that's the thing about that.
Exactly.
And G-Fest is the thing that I like to live with, you know, and I like to be around people that, you know, they're for me, you know. So that's the thing.
And this time, like, again, I don't even know if you guys realize it, but I was a little overwhelmed, not because I'm like nervous or scared. It was just a lot going on. I didn't know, like, and I just, when that happens, a lot of times I just stick to like what Scott wants to do. But I want to go to one of the parties. Didn't you go to a party one night and then you did karaoke one night?
Yeah, because and see, that's the thing about going to karaoke, and I don't know what it is about karaoke. It's like karaoke. It's like an addiction to me now for some reason. I know when I first did it, I wasn't so much nervous. I was just like, I want to do this. I got to do this. And when they didn't have it the following year, it's like, oh no, you know. But when we went back in 2022, it's like, yes, the karaoke is here again, you know. So I don't know. I've become addicted to karaoke. So when I get there that Friday night after all the panels and all
opening ceremonies and stuff,
I'm definitely doing my karaoke thing. I mean, and the guy, Gregory, he knows me too well. He knows that I love doing it. You know,
you're like the G-Fest legend. You're like the mayor of G-Fest.
I do not know where that title came from. Like the mayor of G-Fest, he's not here. It's like, where did that come from? You know, and because I know I've had some people, literally younger people, come to me and say, aren't you Walter Ross? It's like, yes. I was like, I know you. I've never heard about you. It's like, where you hear me about? I would think someone else.
Like, I'm popular.
Yeah. I mean, well, see, that's the thing. I don't throw that kind of, you know, thing about me because I'm humble like that. I'm just there as an attendee and just here to enjoy the thing with you as much as anyone else. And yeah, maybe that's the reason why they recognize me so well, you know. And then too, I'm always smiling when I'm there, you know. I mean, it's just my go-to thing. I mean, when I'm there, trust me, like I said, like I told you with this picture right here, with Christine, I told you, that's me at G-Fest. That's how I look, you know. I'm always like that. I can't help it. I mean, when I'm at G-Fest, I'm smiling like I say, oh wow, dude, I look like a total fool, but I don't care. I love being that way. I love having that kind of interaction, you know. So that's just me, you know.
I think Anubis was like a kid when we went, because
I would hope so.
he was just so excited and so excited to see you guys and so excited for friends. And he likes figures. Like, we got a whole cabinet over here of figures. We got figures behind me. And, you know, he told me growing up, he didn't have like toys And that was like a thing that I really started hitting home. And I was like, so now you do have toys. Like, you have toys now, like, you know. And he will probably buy 20 more toys at G-Fest this year, and we'll have to get, well, there's some room in here still, you know, we'll probably squeeze them in the back over here. And yeah, but we enjoy, like, I love stuff, and it's probably not everything now. Everybody's like, oh, I'm minimalist and this. Oh, no, we love stuff. We love physical media. We have vinyl. We have cassettes. We have DVDs. We have CDs. I love stuff. So when we moved from our tiny ass house, when I say tiny, it's like 800 square feet in Baltimore. Right. And then we also, I was getting some stuff, like my mom was downsizing. My mom and dad were downsizing their house too. We got a storage unit. They had the biggest moving truck I have ever seen to take all the crap that we had from the storage unit and our house. And it was packed to, like, they opened it up. It was like crap falling out. So much stuff. And I don't know. I don't care. And now we have a house that's 3 times the size of our old house, and we have more crap. We have more crap and more toys and more posters. And I don't care. Like, it's not even like a materialistic thing. It's an aesthetic thing. Like, this is what we want to surround ourselves with, stuff that entertains us.
And that's good. That's the, see, you should not be, and I know you're not, like Anubis is not afraid of, like, hey, I got this stuff. I'm going to show it off, like this this blanket right here that I got up.
I like that blanket.
I'm not ashamed to show it, because that's what I want. That's what I'm going to have. You know, that's what I'm going to personally have on my display. But that brings me up to a question with this. That's another. See, I love how we're interacting with this, because some of the stuff that you're talking about, it leads me to another question, because, like I say, it lets me know, it's like, yes, he's on that level. That's like, this is what I wanted to have. You know,
I'm trying to be on the level.
You know, but with the stuff that you do have, and knowing that your love for Godzilla is there, it's just as flamboyant as anyone else. Do you have in your possession that you personally like the most that's Godzilla related? Do you have anything that stands out that you like?
It's tough because it's like both of our stuff, but mostly his stuff.
Well, I'm thinking with y'all stuff, it's like you say, it's your one. So, I mean, it would make sense, you know?
But he does have a legendary Mothra back here, which is gorgeous. Please don't kill me, Scotty.
Don't kill her, Scotty. Don't kill her.
But she's gorgeous. I mean, like, I don't know who the artist was who did this, but it is absolutely gorgeous. And again, they really capture, like, what the legendary Mothra looks like. Where's the other Mothra? Because I also have a soft spot for, like, the OG Mothra, because she's a death's head moth. And one of my favorite movies is Silence of the Lambs. So, so I love...
and I love, Silence of the Lambs, yes.
What is this? Oh, that's Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn's cool too, but no, I just, oh, there she is. There's the little Mothra.
All right. I'll get with you in a second, Jake.
So there's the little Mothra, you know, like, she really, and she has her little egg. Her little egg. So I love all these little things.
Yeah.
Oh no, I can't get her back on her egg. Oh no, Scotty, I'm sorry. Oh no. He's gonna
Don't kill her,
me.
Scotty. She's look. We all make mistakes. That's it.
She's thank God she's rubber, so I can't really break her.
Well, that's the thing. If she's rubber, she'll bounce.
She's
back.
rubber. She is not. She's very, very ornate. So my mom, Scott's been helping out a lot with my mom when she was really, really sick.
Right.
And he bought her she bought him a couple of these legendaries, and the King Ghidorah is over there, and it's gigantic, and I'm not touching it. As a thank you, because she was really grateful for him to be like just taking her back and forth to the doctors and stuff like that. So those are kind of like our like prized figurines, but we love, like, I have this little Shimu, and it's not down here, but it's like a keychain, and it's really, really tiny. And I have this amazing walk-in closet now. And I have like hooks, and so I have this little Shimu hanging up in my closet, and I just look at it every day too.
That's kind of cool. Now I will point this out. I mean, this is really quick. This is what I mentioned before got me hooked on Godzilla in the first place.
Oh, let me see.
And this is Famous Monsters of Filmland. This is if anyone has ever seen this is the thing that was the catalyst to my liking Godzilla. Okay. This is my favorite of everything, because, and what's funny about this, I managed to get this for $50, but I'm pretty sure if someone was to try to buy it, they would probably buy it for like $300 or $400, because
it's original, and it's
the original. Yes, this is the original copy. One of the original copies. So it's like, no, that would be so. And
I was gonna say it's sealed. It's in great condition. Somebody would want that.
Oh, someone would definitely, but I'm not selling it, because that's how prized possession it is for me. Jake's got something for you here. It's for both.
Here's a question for both y'all. Think we're going to get Godzilla -1 sequel new on Godzilla's B-Day? They're I don't know what the release date is, but they're 100% talking about releasing it. So
I mean, because that's the thing. I mean, if they do, that would be a big kind of thing. I mean, that's in November, but I mean,
that's my birthday too. So.
But they're already okay. But they're already filming it, so I don't know if they're going to do that. If they'll do it next year, maybe. We'll wait and see. And he also, I know
they're working on it. It's going to happen.
Yes, he's saying that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You do
so
have.
I don't know.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, I know Anubis knows what it is, but yeah, that's a GMK poster you have. That's the movie, you know.
Yeah, I've seen this movie.
Yeah, and she looked beautiful in that one, you know.
I love her.
Yeah,
and I love moths. Like, you know, anytime I see a moth, I'm like, oh, look, it's Mothra. You know, I'm not really scared of bugs, or we have all the tarantulas. I don't squish spiders or anything. Right. I will relocate a spider always. But
you have more respect for them now, right?
Mm-hmm. And it takes a lot to gross me out. So, but there's a couple of things I remember. I was like, roaches kind of gross me out. And it's probably a Baltimore thing, but he bought roaches one time to feed. And our fucking spiders are picky as hell. They didn't want the roaches. They wanted crickets, but he bought these roaches, and they're not like, when you think roaches, you think like the specific like house roach, which is gross and it multiplies. And if it gets loose in your house, you're doomed. These roaches that he bought are called dubias, and they were like huge and fat. And we had this one roach live forever. Like because our spiders, they didn't want to eat the roaches anymore. And then it got to be like this big. They would not. So I kind of got over my grossness with roaches with the one roach that lived forever, and I called it Roachy. I was like, oh my god, Roachy is still alive? What? Like, and what are you gonna do with it? Like, you know, the spiders aren't gonna eat it. We just kind of like left it alone, and I'm pretty sure it died eventually, but we have it in with the crickets, and fucking crickets, they're annoying.
Well, the cheeping and chirping they do.
They're chirping and they're stinky. Oh, they're so smelly. I don't know what it's the crickets have a cricket smell and they're yeah. It's out in the garage, like it's away from us. Oh no. Here comes a problem.
Look here, let me ask you one more question, Neko, because I know Neva's got something coming up.
Yeah, he's gonna kick me out of the big boy chair in a minute.
He'll kick you out of the big boy chair in a minute. But I have one more question before we go to the ending of this, and that's just a personal question to you, and that's this. Being that's who you are and being what you love, especially when it comes to Godzilla, has it affected you in such a great detail through childhood up until adulthood?
It really has, like in a good way. Like I was saying, when I was a teenager and it's night time, it's after midnight, you're watching Godzilla, and it just became this calming presence forever. And then, I dated this guy for a very long time. I'm talking like from 14 till a month shy of 21. And I don't want you stepping on there. And he was, he was okay. He was not anything great. And he wasn't terrible to me, but it was just like, eh. And, it was okay. And I just I never was having luck with guys after I break up with him. I'm breaking, there's dudes just being terrible to me and I'm like, I get it. Dating is hard and dating sucks. Everybody talks about how hard dating is even now. But it was just like I was really getting down in the dumps because there was this other guy, like after I'm dating my ex, I was going to marry this guy. Like I was engaged to this guy. This is, again, it was a month shy of my 21st birthday. And I break it up with him. And then I'm dating this other guy. And I was kind of thought it was serious. But it turns out that he was married. And he didn't tell me he was married. So then I'm heartbroken and angry again.
Wow.
So all of this drama and trauma is going on. And this dude, the married guy, is the one who introduced me to Anubis. That is how I met my husband. He introduced me to Anubis. And if, granted, Anubis and I don't have everything in common, but like some of the little things on our first couple of dates that we really it was charming and we bonded over. It's just Godzilla, Kung Fu, heavy metal music, like these little things that he couldn't believe. And he always said, like, he looked at me and he didn't think I listened to heavy metal music. He looked at me and he wouldn't suspect that I liked Kung Fu. He wouldn't think that I would be into. He's like, you look like just like every other chick. Like you look like you listen to Britney Spears. You look like just stuff like that.
Like a girly girl, basically.
Yeah, just like a girly girl. And I'm like, don't get me wrong. I like my rom-coms. I like my wine. I like reading sappy romance.
Like Barbie. So it's like,
I love Barbie. Girl, me and Barbie go way back. I had every Barbie, everything, and I'm okay with that. Like, that's another part of me, but like just the fact that we had so much to connect on, that changed my life because I was always trying to be that girly girl, like that sorority girl. With these guys I'm dating, I'm trying to be like the special girl. I'm trying to always like putting on a show. It was never putting on a show with Anubis. It was me being the way I was. I was always like, I'm kind of a little, like I talk a lot. I'm a little awkward. I fall down a lot. Like I'm just not, I am who I am. But with everybody else that I dated, they were assholes, but I'm trying like extra hard to impress them. Which, why would I when they're pieces of shit? What are you doing? Get off of that.
Yeah,
No, leave that alone. So I meet him and he is just into everything that I'm into, and he's into me. And I'm like, this is amazing. Like, I don't have to pretend to like something, or I don't have to put on a show for him, because he just likes me for who I am. And that was special.
It's like two ships actually meeting, and it's like you were meant to be together. That's just the thing. I guess that's just how
I hope so.
No, I don't know. I ain't gonna say hope so. I know so. I mean, I can look, whether you believe or don't believe, there is a special kind of attachment to some people that you're meant to be with this person. You two y'all just hold like that, and I feel like that's
I mean, the odd thing that the guy that my ex, who was married, and oops, forgot to tell me he was married.
Total asshole.
Yeah. The fact that he's the one who introduced me. First of all, that's bizarre.
That's what I'm saying. That's like that sounds like a rom-com in itself when you think about it.
And then second, Anubis is so sweet. He's as a husband and as like a boyfriend when we're on our first date. He's just smiling at me and just listening to me and really engaged. He was just very different. I had dated, and he's a little bit older than me too. So it could just be like, I was like, 21, 22, and I was dating like 21, 22-year-olds, even like a little bit later 20s. And he was in his 30s. So he is a little bit more mature and treated a woman the way that you would hope a woman should be treated. But there was no pretending, and there was no like show. It wasn't like, I'm like, oh yeah, it's sorority night, or oh, we're going to go to this bar. And I always felt like I was on, like I'm on a date, but I'm pretending, and I'm like really gotta be this persona. But with him, and then when we started like really talking about on our first date, like again, we're talking about Kung Fu, we're talking about Godzilla, we're talking about the shows that we've been to, and we find out that we've been to some of the same shows, and I'm like, oh my God, we could have been at the same show together getting a beer, and we just like walked past each other and wouldn't have even known it. That is what like all of this means to me. It's the husband, it's the friends, it's the friendship. It's, I am too old now to even really care about being considered nerdy or geeky.
Exactly.
I am just happy to have like-minded friends. That's what this is about.
Jake says the best. That's true love. That's real.
Thank you, Jake. Yeah, we're pretty happy. I mean, we've been married for 20 years, so hopefully.
No, like I say, y'all been married this long. Y'all, like I say, y'all will continue on.
I said, like, he and I joke sometimes. I'm like, I don't have the energy. There's not there. Even if you're annoying me, there's not going to be any tiny thing that would make me no. I just don't have the energy. You and I are stuck together forever.
No, that's the thing. It's like you like say we are locked in this together. You're my ride and die. Fuck all the other shit. We're here to stay. So that's the thing. Mm-hmm. I love that. Well, Nico, I appreciate your time here.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, you've made this. Well, this is the little that I have is turned out to be more than I expected. And before we go, really. But before you go, is there anything that you got coming up as far as being attended to or on your channel, or just with the Nubis?
I don't know. He keeps the calendar. I know that he's got hold on, let me look at the calendar. Maybe that's what I should do.
Well, I know he's got something coming up
he's got Silver Screen Savants tonight with Olvin. And then on Wednesday he's got Cinematic Synergy with Kevin, I believe, and then Ghouls at Midnight with Tony. And then on Friday the 10th, he and I are going back to Baltimore, to a suburb of Baltimore, and he is going to be an extra in an independent horror film called Spirit Board. I don't know how much I'm going to be allowed to like take pictures and stuff because
Right.
it is a film that's in process.
Yeah.
And he is I mean, he's an extra, and Tony is going to be there as well. Tony was in Night of the X. Is that behind me or is that over there? I don't know where the Night of the X poster went, but Tony is in Night of the X. He has a great kill scene. But these Sean and oh my god, I feel so bad, I forgot the other guy's name, but Sean is the director, and he writes these, and he wrote like a very, very short spirit board in college, and has a very short spirit board, like a 10-minute spirit board in college. And he has fundraised, and this is completely independently made. So he talked to Sean, and he was able to be an extra in the movie. It is, again, horror, independent, support your independent films. I can find, I'll get Anubis to send you his link so people can see it. And there's like a way you can, if you like donate money, they'll put you like as in the credits, like as a person who sponsored.
Right.
Yeah. So I can get Anubis to send that to you because I'm really excited. He's super cute because like Sean sent like, oh, you know, dress like, you know, XYZ. So we went out last weekend or the weekend before and picked out some things to get for, you know, I have no idea what this is going to entail because he's an extra. I don't know how many scenes he has. I don't know how much I can talk to Sean about and post. And I don't know, like it might be after the movie is finished that we'll be able, because we talked to Sean before and we did a live stream with Sean to fundraise for Spirit Board. So I'm hoping that this goes well, and I hope Anubis has a really good time. I'm just there for the hanging out, and Anubis is going to be an extra in this movie.
Well, you never know. Anubis, this might be his breakout moment for him.
It might be his break.
I never know. That's crazy. But I love the fact that I know somebody. He's like, he's a star. It's like he's my friend. You know, that's the thing. I'm more geeked out about that kind of stuff. Yeah, but
Tony's already been killed on screen, so
that's what I heard. It's like he's been killed. It's like, dude,
and Tony's going to be there for this next one.
Okay. Well, Neko, thank you again for being here. You, like I said, you look, like I said, I mean, look, I've had other people on here, but you really made this really special. I mean, in other ones have been special. I'm just sorry that there weren't other females on here. But you know what? Maybe this is a sign to tell me that if I do this again, which I will, do them in one section with one individual, because I think I get more out of this. You know, that'd be more entailing. So, but hey,
it's fun.
Yes, I mean, because this was. I mean, I'm hoping that you had a good time. I
did.
Yes, everyone had a good time. But like I said, we're going to cut it off because I know Newby's got to get back in the chair. It's like, woman, get out of a chair.
He's right here. He's looking at me. He's like, I'm like, look at me. I'm in the big boy chair now.
Yes, but I thank you. There you go. Well, we're about to cut it. We're about to cut it off, though, Newbies, because this, like I said, we're coming to the end. But yes, but everybody who's been watching, thank you for your comments.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Thanks for watching. And as I always close out on these videos, y'all take care. Y'all be patient. And Neko, if you can do it with me, keep the kaiju love alive. Yes. Y'all take care now.
Peace.
Peace.